All right, how's it going? Today we're going to be looking at ticker symbol MU. That's Micron Technology. So today's video is going to be on a concept called selling covered calls. Okay. And so basically what that is if you own 100 shares of Micron Technology, so let's say I bought 100 shares at 75.18, that would be $7,518, right? You because you now own 100 shares, you actually can get paid for owning these shares. Not it like talking about if the stock goes up and then you sell, but because you actually have enough shares, you can sell an options contract against it. And this would be what's called selling a covered call. So I have the option chain pulled up here on TD Ameritrade, Thinkorswim. And I have a couple different strike prices and expiration dates I want you guys to look at. So it's very simple basically. Okay. So if you're bullish on a stock and you own 100 shares, what you can do is you can choose a price that you think the stock will either go to that you want to sell at. So for instance, if you were bullish on Micron Technology and you thought, and for some reason in the next week it was going to go up to $80 or like $81, you could sell a this contract right here at the 81 strike price for October 1st. That's this Friday. You'd go right here, click sell, single. It automatically populates it to 10, but for this purpose, we don't have 1,000 shares. We've only got 100 shares. Okay. So because you own these 100 shares, you can now sell a call contract, okay, and get paid $35. You just hit confirm and send, and you instantly get that cash immediately. It goes straight into your account. You can withdraw it. You can use it to buy more. Well, that wouldn't be enough to buy more shares, but you can use it to, buy something else. If you like another stock, you can take that money, or you can continue to do this every week. And as long as your expiration strike, as long as the stock is not at 81 or higher, you'll never actually be forced to sell your 100 shares. Okay. Because then the contract is going to expire worthless. It's going to expire out of the money. So you would just get to keep all $35 that you just sold. And the reason it's 35 is because it's 0.35, and then you multiply that times 100, that'll give you 35. Okay. So I have some of these things pulled up here. I have the implied volatility, the extrinsic value, the intrinsic value, and the probability of touching pulled up. So to do that, you'd go to your option chain, you'd go to layout, customize, and you would just type these in: implied volatility. Here, I'll show you. There you go. You just hit add items, and now you hit okay, and it'll be up here. Okay. So when you're looking at to sell covered calls, these are the things I like to look at. I like to look at the probability of touching. And what you're doing is you're basically gaining all of the extrinsic value. Okay. Extrinsic value is basically the difference between the market price of an option and its intrinsic price, which is like the difference between an option strike price and the stock's price. Okay. So extrinsic value rises with increase in volatility. This is why I have implied volatility pulled up in here. So, this is at 35 now. Implied volatility is getting higher. As you can see on the day, it was up 1.53%. So a good thing to do is to sell a call on a day that the stock is going up, because now all of these call options have a higher implied volatility and they have more extrinsic value. And so as long as the contract expires worthless and out of the money, you get to keep all of the basically extrinsic value for yourself. You get to keep that as a payment. And if you wanted to, and if you were betting on this stock, going to a certain price, and let's say you just wanted to guarantee you sold at 76, you could get paid a lot more. As you can see here, there's a 97% chance of this touching, a probability of touching. So that's something very good to look at. I typically, if I'm doing something that expires weekly, like something that expires every Friday and every Monday or every Tuesday, whenever the stock is having a green day, and I want to sell a covered call against my 100 shares, I like to look at something that's between like 20 to 25%. The one in particular I'm looking at here is about 27%. But just for the purpose of this video, I've just shown you guys this one right here. Okay. So also, $35 is precisely or roughly 1.2. If you sell those, if you sell, let's say a call option that expires every Friday and expires worthless for $35, you could do that 4 times a month. Okay. And after 1 month, you would have earned 1.86% roughly of your original investment on that 7,500. So regardless if the stock price is up or down, you invested $7,500.18 and you've now gotten back in 1 month 1.86%. Okay. That's all if it expires, if they keep expiring worthless and out of the money. And if they expire in the money, then basically you'll be forced to sell your 100 shares. But if you bought in at 75.18 and you just sold at $81, now you just sold 100 shares at $81. So now you just sold at $8,100, and so you made $600 on top of whatever you made selling your covered calls. So really, to me, if you own 100 shares on a company and you're bullish on that company, you can sell covered calls, and it's a no lose strategy, because if the stock price goes up and it gets triggered, then now, okay, you just sold for profit. You were just forced to literally sell for profit, and now you have all of that money. You can buy back in on the next dip that you like, or you can, reinvest that money somewhere else. If it never becomes in the money and it expires out of the money and worthless, then hey, you know what? Let's say the stock went down, even let's say it went to $74. Well, you know what? At least you didn't lose, all of your initial investment. You still got to get back 1.86% after a month, even if the stock go down. So that's one thing I really like doing, is to pick a company I like and sell covered calls against it. I personally don't have 100 shares of Micron Technology or anything like that, but I have been looking at this one coming up. It's got earnings tomorrow, so I just have it charted up. So anyways, 82 right here, I believe, is like the next resistance level. Okay, so I'd say, hey, well, if I think it's going to go up to 82, and that's our next resistance, why don't I just choose that? Because you don't want to choose something really close, unless you're going to be happy, selling it. But a lot of times, new traders or people, when they first get into covered calls, they get really frustrated because, they might choose something that's a little bit too close, and it forces them to sell their 100 shares. And, let's say you chose the 77 strike price because you wanted to get paid $125, aka like one free share, 1.5 free shares. Like, oh yeah, I want 100. I want 1.5 free shares just for owning 100 shares. Yeah, I'll do that for sure, right? But then it gets triggered, and let's say now it's up at $85, and you're like, oh man, now the stock's at $85, and I could have, now I'm being forced to sell it for 77, and it's at 85. So you want to pick something that you're comfortable with, that like, hey, I know I feel good if if we're at $81 or higher, at 90 even, or whatever, I'm going to be satisfied with my 1 week investment from 75 to 81. I'll be satisfied with selling those 100 shares. So that's something to keep in mind. What's, like I said, what's really helpful is this whole probability of touching. And then you want to look at the extrinsic value, and that's typically what you're going to get paid when you sell your contract. So that's the value that you're looking to capitalize on and put in your pocket. All right. So like I said, Micron Technology is a good stock because they have um, contracts that expire every 7 days. So you could do this 4 times a month, like I said. Now, if you wanted to do something a little bit more conservative to where you're not having to trade and sell contracts every month, you could do something every 3 months, right? So if you will zoom out a little bit, the all-time highs for this is 96.96. Okay. So if you buy 100 shares today at $75 and you want to sell a covered call, let's say 3 months out in this January 21st, 2022 expiration date, you can come down here and you can look for some options contracts that are, like I said, between 20 and 25%, right? So I like this one right here, the 95 strike price, just because, they don't have 96. But so the 95 strike price, you could come here and you could sell one of these for, and you want to drag this up so that way you can get the highest price because you're selling it. So you want to get paid the highest you can get versus when you're buying, you want to always drag this down here so that you can pay for the lowest. But anyway, that's just a little tip. Now, this would be $96. So if Micron Technology is trading at $95 or higher by 4 months from now in January 21st, 2022, now your initial $7,500 that you put into the trade, you're now being forced to execute and selling for now $9,500. So now you've made money. You made $2,000 off your initial investment, and you also got another $300 that, hey, you can do whatever with. Like I said, that's basically like a free share, or if you want to invest that into something else, you can do that. So just something to keep in mind. So if you do that, let's say sell them for roughly like $100. You're selling $100 contracts every 3 months on a bullish stock that you have. Well, then after a year, after 4 quarters, basically, that would have been $400. So if the stock is less than 7,500, let's say a year from now, but you've been selling contracts against it, making $100 every quarter, you at least get to make back some of your money. You got paid because you own those 100 shares. So it's really good. It's really helpful. I think the easiest way to invest in the stock market is to find a stock that you think is cheap or that you're super bullish on long term. And you look at these stocks and you look at these charts and they look good to you and you like the company, you use it, you've heard of it, then this is a really good strategy to, make some extra money on top of just owning your shares. So, and then think about this. Think about Micron is now at $90, okay? And you've been selling contracts ever since you were at $75. Well, there's going to be more extrinsic value. Basically, the price of these option contracts are going to be more, okay? Because now one options contract to buy 100 shares is going to be at $90. So, it's a $9,000 contract. So the premium and the extrinsic value and intrinsic value is going to be priced in there, and it's going to give you a different, you basically will be getting paid more. So if you're getting, $30 a week at $75, right? You could potentially get like $50 a week after the stock is trading in the 80s or the 90s, and you can continue. And like I said, I like to just do it just to get a little bit of extra money and get paid for owning my shares. I don't necessarily like doing it as a strategy to like force myself to sell. That's why I'm trying to do stuff that's like has a probability 20%, 25%, maybe 30 at the most. But that's something that I really want people to look at, that I don't think a lot of people know, you know, about this. So let's say, for instance, you do this, you're selling those contracts, and I said it was 1.86%. You would get a month, right? So you do that for 12 months. That's almost 24% that you've gained off of your initial $7,500. So if you want a way to guarantee, let's say that you can make 24% on on a stock, no matter what the price of the stock is, then you can sell covered calls against it and do that for a year and hold your shares. And hopefully, if you guessed right or you had that right bullish conviction that the stock price was going to be higher, hopefully after a year, you can make 24%. So basically, you got 24% of your shares for free. You got paid for 24% of those shares. And then also the stock price will be higher. So if the stock is up, let's say 15% after a year, okay, and just being super conservative, and then you add in that 24%, now that's a 39% gain on your original investment. So that's just a quick tutorial on how to sell covered calls, and what I like to look for and how I like to have it set up with the implied volatility, the extrinsic value, and the probability of touching laying out. So hope you guys like that one. Just wanted to give it a quick video. Yep, I'm out.